Basics of Photoshop. This webinar will cover all the basic tools which you would require to design and edit a poster in Photoshop. These tools are sufficient to do most of the work in Photoshop. We will see how to import, manipulate, and replicate a file. So let us get started. Let me introduce you with the Adobe software bundle. There are more than 20 Adobe softwares dealing with just the graphical editing. So the first question any beginner has is which software should I use? So I have listed a few of the mostly used softwares here. The first one is Adobe Lightroom. As the name suggests, it is focused on utilities to edit and organize photographs clicked on cameras. Now jumping on the third software, this is Adobe Illustrator. It is used to create beautiful vector art and illustrations, but it cannot edit photographs well. Now we see the middle of those, the software which we are about to explore today, the Adobe Photoshop. It is used to create, edit, and compose images and graphics. It can also edit photographs to some extent, as well as create vector graphics pretty well. The last one is Adobe InDesign. It is used to create layouts for publication purposes, like for editing the layout of magazines and all. So now we'll jump to our Photoshop window. This is Photoshop window. At the left upper side here, you can see the menu bar. These are file, edit, image layer, and etc. menus. On the left hand side here, you can see the toolbox, and these are various tools. There are many tools like this. On the right side down here, you can see the layout panel, and above that there is properties panel. You will see the uses of these panels as we go along with the webinar. So now we'll create a canvas for our design. So to create a new canvas, just go to File menu and click on New. There are various shortkeys given here. So as you work with Photoshop, you'll get familiar with that. So by clicking New, the new document window will open. Here there are several presets provided by Adobe Photoshop. These presets contain the dimensions for different applications. In the Photo tab, you can see the dimensions for landscape photographs. If you are familiar with the printing of photographs, you might be knowing that these photographs are printed on 7 by 5 inch, 3 by 2 inch, and these cards, these dimensions. Next presets are print, which are used for different printing purposes like letter, legal document. You are familiar with A4, A5, 3, and all these sizes. Next is arts and illustrations. You can see that these presets are quite bigger than previous presets. This is 18 by 24 inch. Here you can see the web presets. As you all know that computers need smaller image sizes to process faster. So here you can see the difference that these presets contain the 72 ppi, that is pixels per inch, whereas all the previous presets contain 300 ppi resolution. Next is mobile presets. The Adobe has given various mobile presets for iPad, iPhone 8, 7, 6 Plus, the Apple Watch, and etc. All these. The last one is film and video, which are mostly used for film and video purposes, like while editing in the Adobe Premiere Pro, the software which is used for video editing. So getting back to our previous tab, here on the right side, you can see the specification tab for your canvas. Here you can specify the name of your canvas. Let's name it a new canvas. Here there is a button given by Adobe Photoshop to save your preset details. Down here you can see the width and height of your preset. And here you can see the units of the dimensions. You might be familiar with pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters. And there are points and picas also provided by Photoshop for more professional purposes. Like these are used in magazine editing and bigger banners and all. So we will just go with pixels. So while choosing width and height, we'll get back to our slide. Here you can see a table containing the screen resolution and sizes. You can see 720 pixel has 1280 by 720 pixel width and height. The other names are also listed here. That is 720 pixels is high definition. The 1920 by 1080 pixels is full HD, and so on for 2K, Ultra HD, 4K, and 8K Ultra HD, which is quite new in the market. So we'll just proceed with full HD dimension, that is 1920 by 1080, and the orientation will be horizontal. Here you can specify the resolution of your canvas. So if you're gonna print the canvas afterwards, you might want to go with some higher resolution like 150, 200, or 300. But for just web computer graphics purposes, 72 is okay. So the size of canvas is reduced. The next is color mode, that is RGB color mode, CMYK, grayscale, and all that. So for computer graphics, the RGB color format is used. For printing purposes, CMYK color is used. So we'll go with RGB. And this is 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit color depth. So we'll get back to our slides. Here you can see the color depth table. 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit are the bits per pixel. That is, how many bits are assigned to one pixel for its definition. So an 8-bit system has 256 different color levels, which is calculated by 2 raised to 8. So it can generate in RGB format maximum of 16 million colors. That is 256 red, 256 green, and 256 blue. When we multiply these three numbers, we get 16 million. And 16 million colors you might have seen on TV stickers and all. So it just uses the 8-bit engine, and it is used for general purposes. As we go higher with 16-bit and 32-bit, you can see the difference in color levels and the resultant size of the color palette, 281 trillion and 79 octillion. So this is a very, very big number, which is 79 into 10 raised to 27. The 32-bit system is used for HDR editing, that is high dynamic range. So we can just proceed with 8-bit. And the last specification you have to choose is the background content. You can choose the background to be white, black, some background color. So you can choose it by clicking here. The color picker window will open like this, and you can specify its hue, saturation, and brightness, or you can specify red, green, blue, or you can specify CMYK color format. So we'll just go with transparent for now here, and we'll create the canvas. Here you can see the canvas name. 66.7% written here specifies the zoom percentage. The layer 1 is selected, and the RGB/8 determines the color format and color depth. So we'll just import a new photograph here. So we go to file menu and open. We'll just open this file. You can notice that our previous canvas is preserved here, and a new canvas has opened. And the canvas has the name shenron.png, and it is also in RGB 8-bit format. So I'll show you our first tool for today, the selection tool, otherwise known as a marquee tool. It has two subtools, that is rectangular marquee tool and elliptical marquee tool. And the names are pretty much straightforward. The rectangular tool selects the area in the rectangular manner, and likewise for elliptical marquee tool. So I'll go with rectangular marquee tool. You can just select by dragging across the canvas. Suppose this, and if you want to get rid of some selection part, you just have to press and hold Alt key. You can see that the minus sign appears at the bottom of the canvas. So if you just drag like this area will get cancelled from the selection, and you can deselect some selections as like this. And you can also select the inverse by just right click and click on select inverse. So now that this part is selected, and to get rid of the selection, you just right click here and select deselect, or the short key is Control D. So we'll just copy some part of the image here. You can press Control C. You have to make sure that this layer is selected first, and paste it here. The next tool is Move tool here. The short key is V, and as the name suggests, it is used to move objects or layers. you can see that the corner points have appeared here. So with these corner points, you can just scale this image or rotate this image by placing your cursor at some distance from the frame, like this. It's fairly simple. If you press and hold Alt key, it will resize the image from all directions like this. If you press and hold the Control key, it will resize the image in perspective like this. And if you hold the Shift key, it will freely transform the image like this. So we'll just scale it as per our canvas. I think this is okay. Now here you can see that the canvas size is somewhat bigger than our image. So if you want to get rid of this canvas, you can just go at image menu, select canvas size, and this box will appear. Here you can see the width and height of our canvas. Note that as we select in pixels, yet here the canvas size is written in inches by clicking here and selecting pixels from the timing. Let's just let it be in inches. So we'll get rid of some width here. Let's make it 25. Anchor tool, the anchor graph here denotes that the shrinking will appear in what direction. So we just want to shrink it from right direction towards the left direction. So we'll click on here. As you see, the arrows indicate that shrinking will appear from right to left. So we'll click OK. It says new canvas size is smaller than the current canvas size, so some clipping will occur. So we'll click on just proceed. Here it has been done. Note that the image size is intact, but the canvas size has reduced. The image is this much bigger. So we will see our next tool, that is lasso tool. The short key is L. Lasso tool is used for freehand selections, and it has sub tools, lasso tool and polygon lasso tool. We'll see both of them in some time. So let's just get rid of this background section. So we'll zoom into that. The zooming in is done by holding Alt key and scrolling up or down. If you let go the Alt key and scroll up and down, you can just scroll it vertically. If you hold Control key, you can scroll horizontally. So these are pretty handy tools. We'll just select this part. Like this. And we'll click on delete. Notice that if I click delete now, nothing will happen. But I have to select this layer first, as I have to delete this selection from this layer. So this works as a reference. So now if I press delete, the area is deleted and I deselect it. Note that although most of the background has been cleared, it is not very efficient, as some part is remaining here, here, and all that. So now we'll see the polygon lasso tool. I can just right click here, click on polygon lasso tool. As the name suggests, it selects a polygon by we have to just add vertices to the polygon. The more vertices we add, the better approximation it does, like this. And if I delete now, you'll see that the efficiency here has increased. Yet it creates an edgy appearance to our image. So to get rid of this also, we'll see another tool which is more efficient than this. But the only thing is it requires some patience. The tool is quick selection tool here. There are two subtools here also, quick selection and magic wand. We'll see magic wand within some time. So the quick selection tool uses this brush tool. Up here you can just vary the brush size like this. You can reduce it. You can reduce the hardness also and all that. So we'll just select this. The brush tool works on the algorithm of contrast selection. The Photoshop automatically detects the contrast of the image and estimates which selection we want to choose. Here you can see that this blue part and green part has not much contrast. Hence, this green part has been also selected. So to get rid of that, you can just hold Alt key. See the minus sign has appeared. You can just get rid of this part like this. And now when I press delete, you can clearly see that the efficiency is maximum and there is no edgy appearance also. So quick selection tool is very efficient in background clearing. After some time, we'll be deleting all the background of the dragon. So we'll see that. The next tool is brush tool here. And there are four subtools: brush tool, pencil tool, color replacement, and mixer brush tool. We'll just be seeing the brush tool for now. Here again, you can vary the brush size from here, hardness from here, and you can select the color from here, and the color picker will appear. So let it be white for now, and you can just have some strokes here like this. If you want to make it some transparent, you can go here and select the opacity. Let's select it 50%. So it will be 50% transparent or 50% opaque. You can decrease the flow also from here. You can see the difference here between the two flows like this. Next tool we'll be seeing is the clone stamp tool. The clone stamp tool is a very important tool, and it is mostly used in Photoshop for recreation. You'll see that in a minute. Clone stamp tool, as you can see here, just clones some area of your image into some other target area. You'll see how that works. Select clone stamp tool, and you have to select the reference point first. To select the reference point, you just hold the Alt key. See, the cursor has changed. So suppose we place the reference point here. And now when I try to paint something here with this brush, you can see that the area surrounded by the reference point is getting recreated here. And you can also see the reference point moving like this. You can see that dragon is getting recreated. So it is very widely used tool. Now we'll attempt to clear all the background of the dragon with quick selection tool. So bear with me. We'll select this part. Keep in mind that the quick selection tool requires a lot of patience, but at the end it delivers very efficient outcome. This area is selected. You can see that the mustache is getting selected, so you can cancel it by pressing and holding Alt key, and it will not select that again. Select the upper part. Mustache is selected, you can get rid of that. The quick selection tool is very easy to work with, but just have to practice with it. So I'll just deselect this part beforehand, as I know this part is going to be selected as there is a lot less contrast. So by doing this, you'll see that the selection will be faster. Now as I try to select, it is not selecting this part, even though the contrast is not much. So this way you can speed up your editing. Deselecting this mustache beforehand. Like this. So Yeah, let's go with this. We can just delete this part by pressing delete. And the background has gone. Now we'll add another image to the background. So go to file, click on open, and open some image like this. The image has opened in new canvas. So we can just get rid of the previous this canvas as we don't need it now. And we can just copy this image. You can press Ctrl A to select all, or you can go with the marquee tool if you want to select some part of the image. Just copy it and paste it here. See that the image size is much larger than the canvas, so you can see only some part of the image. So zoom out. You can see the borders of the image. Just scale it like this, and I think we are good to go like this. Press enter. Note that the dragon is behind the image, and this can be seen here also in layer panel. This is our dragon layer and this is our image layer. So to bring dragon forward, you just literally have to bring the dragon forward in the layer panel, or you can just bring the jungle backward. Anything will do. So we'll just bring the jungle downward like this, and the dragon has come forward. You can rescale it like this. I think this is okay. Note that the some part of the dragon image is seen here because when we delete the background, this part was outside the canvas. So to delete this part of canvas, we can select the marquee tool, select some rectangle with padding is allowed, and we'll select the layer from which we have to delete the selection. If we select this layer, dragon layer, it will just delete the selection from dragon. So if I press delete, that part has gone, but the jungle part is intact. So deselect now. So the background has changed. Now we'll add some more graphics here. Just go to file, open. You can click on some image as you want. Now we'll get rid of this white part as we don't want this white part there. To remove the white part, we'll see the another quick selection tool that I said, the magic wand tool. The magic wand tool is very much faster than quick selection tool, but it has some glitches. You will see that. As the quick selection tool, magic wand tool also works on the algorithm of contrast detection. So when I click on this white part, you can see that this orange ball and the white part has a very clear boundary here. So the contrast detection can detect these boundaries. So when I click on this white part, all the white part has been detected. But when I try to detect the ball from here, suppose I click here, it will just select this portion orange because the algorithm detects these two colors as a boundary here, as this is yellow and this is orange. We'll select white part and delete this. Deselect all. Select all and copy. Come here and paste it. Select move tool and place it somewhere else. So let this be okay. I will place some more balls. Here it is okay. We'll create some perspective effect with these balls. Or if you prefer dragon balls. We'll add this dragon ball behind the dragon now. So just place it here. And as you might guess, you just have to bring the dragon forward. Like this. And the dragon ball has gone behind the dragon. See that the number of layers are increasing here. So it's a good practice to name all the layers to work fast. So to rename these layers, you just have to double click on the layer name like this. I'll name it jungle. Double click on the layer name. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4, and dragon. If you want to arrange this even further, You can just select all the layers like this, as the Dragon Ball layers are of same type. So you can just select these 4 layers, right click on any one layer and select the group from layers option. And let's name the group as Dragon Balls. And click OK. You'll see it looks much more neat than previous. This eye symbol here denotes whether the layer is visible or not. So if I click on this, the eye symbol goes and so the dragon goes. The layer is intact, but we cannot see it now. Like this. And if I click here, you can see that all the layers are preserved. Now we'll see another option here provided by Photoshop, the filters. The filters are used to, as the name suggests, filter any layer. So you'll see what it means. So you just click on some layer, say this ball, and we'll try to blur that. To blur, you just select the ball, go to filter menu, and there is blur filter here. And there are various blur filters. For time being, we'll just cover the Gaussian filter and motion blur filter. I'll first show Gaussian filter. You can see the preview here as the preview option is selected. As I increase the radius, the blurriness will increase. And as the name suggests, it follows Gaussian distribution. It blurs the image uniformly. So let's go with 4.7. This looks good. We'll select another ball. Go to filter. Go to blur. And now we'll see the motion blur. The motion blur filter will create an effect as in the ball is moving in motion. So you'll see that as I increase the distance, the ball appears to be in motion in horizontal direction. You can just change the direction easily by specifying the angle here or by dragging this circle. So if I drag it to 40 degree, 36 degree, okay, you can see that the effect resembles that the ball is in motion in 36 degree slant. So currently we don't need a motion blur. So we'll just apply Gaussian blur here again. So go to Gaussian blur. You can decrease some radius. And it's okay. We'll add blur filter here again. Go to select layer, go to filter, go to blur. You can see that there are various more filters like noise filter, render, sharpen, etc. And you can just go and experiment that. There are many options. So go to blur, Gaussian blur. You can decrease the radius some. Yeah, that's okay. Another balls have been blurred. Next tool we'll see is the text tool, which is also an important tool. The short key is T. It has 2 subtools, horizontal tool and vertical type tool. And as the name suggests, the horizontal tool will type in horizontal manner, likewise for vertical tool. So we'll select horizontal tool, just zoom in some here and draw the text box. You'll see some text appears by default as the lorem ipsum. There is no meaning to this text, but it appears by default, which is used for examining the typesetting of fonts since a long time. So we'll just select all and type something here. Here in properties panel, you can change the font from here like this. There are various fonts. You can just explore. Here you can change the size of font. You can introduce some distance between the letters. Like suppose I click 200, you'll see the effect. And you can choose to left align, center align, or right align. We'll choose center align. And you can change the color also, the color picker. So let it be white. And suppose if you don't like the font and you want some another font. So I'll show how to install another font also. So you just go to Google, go to this site, dafont.com. The dafont.com site gives you fonts for free, and there are various sites. So I'll show this site first. So let's suppose you like this font, just go with that. But you want to see how your text will look. Just click on this font. Here you can type the preview, custom preview. I'll write our text Chevron and submit. You will see how the text is going to look. So let's assume you want like this. So you press download. It will download a zip file. Just go there, extract the file, go to folder. See that there are two types of files here: the true type font or TTF or open type font. TTF and OTF are data types of font files. So we'll just select all, copy it, go to control panel. It's a very easy process. Go to fonts and just paste it here like this. As I have these fonts already, so it's just asking me to replace it. So I'll click yes. But if you don't have, this window will not appear. And just close the control panel. And then you will be able to see that font here. So what was it? The chicken pie, like this. So it's very easy process. So we'll just go with this font, increase size. Suppose 80 is okay. Now let's add the background to this font. So to add background, go here, and this is shape tool. And right click here. You can see its subtools like rectangle tool, rounded rectangle tool, ellipse tool, polygon tool, and line tool. So we'll select the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle here, like this. See that the rectangle is white and it is above the text. So you know now how to bring the text forward. You can drag it from the layer panel like this. Go to rectangle. Here are the properties of rectangle. As the rectangle is also white, you can see here the text is not clearly seen. So to change its color, you can click on this white. There are various colors here present. But if you want another color, you can just select here. Color picker will appear. As you change color and click OK, the color of rectangle will change. So let it be this with this color. You can also add the gradient like this, and you can edit the gradient. I'll show the gradient option in some time. You can also select some texture like here, like this. The Photoshop has provided some textures. We'll go with our manual color now. Yeah, this is okay. You can also add some boundary. Currently, I have selected no boundary color, but you can just add boundary easily by selecting some boundary color. The boundary is visible. You can select higher size like this. You can see the boundary. We'll get rid of boundary for now. You can also change the type of boundary from here, like this. Next option is you can curve the corners of the rectangle. I'll just zoom in so you'll see clearly. Here you can see the linking option has been enabled. So when I change the curvature of some one corner, suppose 20, suppose I select 20, all corners have been curved. If I want to curve only specific corners, you just have to deselect this option. I'll do it 0, deselect this option, and let's curve this corner by 30 pixels. And this corner by let's see 40 pixels. You can see that only two corners have been curved and two are intact. And the curvature radius is, as we specified, 30 pixels and 40 pixels. So it's a very easy option. Then option will appear. And there are you can change the opacity of the layer like this, and you will see the changes as you do. To add some transparency effect, we'll go with 70.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Atharva. We are facing some lag. Could you please check your internet and come back?
Yeah, sure. Am I audible now? Hello.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yeah, so can you just tell me the last objective point where network was working?
Can you just repeat the previous step, because we were not able to listen the previous step.
The opacity step.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sure. So to alter the opacity of the layer, you have to double click on the layer at some distance from the name, like this, and the layer style box will appear. And there are various tools. You can just play with all the tools when you have time. So I'll show some tools from this. So to decrease the opacity, you just have to slide this, and you'll see the difference. So for now, I'll go with 70. Another option here is to apply outer glow. So the name is straightforward. It just adds the outer glow to the layer like this. And there are various options like opacity again, noise, spread, spread of the glow like this, and size like this. So with these two sliders, we can format our outer glow. And if I increase the noise, you can see that the noise has been added. Like you can see the pixels clearly. You can change the glow color from here like this. Again, the color picker will appear. So let's go with this color also. So okay. Now I'll show you the gradient option. How to change the gradient. I'll apply the gradient to our text. So double click here. The layer style will appear again. Go here, gradient overlay. I'll show you color overlay first. Go to color overlay, and it will just override the color of your text. As the opacity is 30%, it has mixed this color with 30% opacity with my previous color, which was white. And you are seeing this lighter shade. So if I increase the opacity, you will see the color has completely overridden by this color. You can change this color from color picker like this and play with this. And now if I want to add gradient, just deselect this and select the gradient overlay. You'll see that the gradient has been added. Again, from here you can change the opacity like this. If you want to change the gradient, you can just click here, and you will see that the multiple nodes are present. You can alter the distance of the node to change its gradient like this. If you want to get rid of one node, just click on one node and press delete like this. If you want to change color of one node, you can double click on the node and the color picker will appear. So let's color it green like this. So suppose you like this, so we'll continue with that. You can change the direction of the gradient also from this. Currently it is 0 degrees, so the gradient is in horizontal direction. If you want it vertical, you can just type 90 or minus 90, or you can grab this circle also, and the text will appear like this. You can also scale it from here, and you will see the changes. For time being, let it be 120. It's okay. And There are various types of gradient also, the linear, radial gradient. You'll see the radial gradient. The gradient appears in a circular manner. So for text, mostly linear is okay. And click on OK to see the gradient. Now you'll see the last option from layer styles for today. That is a drop shadow option. We'll drop shadow from this Dragon Ball. So selected the layer, go here and double click. The layer style will appear. And there is this option drop shadow at the bottom. Just click it. You will see that the opacity option is there. So you can select the opacity of the shadow. Suppose it is 67. You can alter the distance of the shadow from the object like this. You can alter the spread and the size of the shadow. By playing with these options, you can just be familiar with the drop shadow option. And you can change the angle of the shadow also, like this. So let it be 45. Bring it somewhat close. And it's okay. You can also explore the other options like pattern overlay, inner shadow, inner glow, satin, etc. So we'll proceed with the webinar. Now I'll show you the last tool for today's webinar, the pen tool. You must have seen flat designs in various web apps, Android apps, etc. So you'll see how to create this flat design. We'll just get rid of these canvases. And we'll open another image like this. See that it's a duck. So you can create a flat design from almost any image across the internet. So I have chosen a duck to, as it's a simple image. So now we'll get rid of the background first, like this. I'll increase the brush size. Select the background. Deselect the duck part by pressing and holding Alt key. And just delete this part. Make sure that this lock button is not there. If the lock button is there, just have to click this. And now it will get deleted. Now to approach the flat design, I'll show you how to approach the problem. So to make a flat design, you have to first make this transparent image. You can go to layer styling and decrease the opacity, or you can just do it from here. The opacity function is there. You can click here, the slider appears. So for our application, 70 is okay. Yeah, it's perfect. So as we are about to draw a flat design, we are going to draw it on a new layer. To add a new layer, see the option is here, the new layer option. Create a new layer. So just click it once and a new layer has been added. Select this layer and go to the pen tool, that is this tool. A pen tool makes pathways or shapes in a curvature manner also. I'll just show how the pen tool works before the flat design. You just have to select one point. If you add another point, it will just join it in straight line. If you add another point and drag the cursor like this, it will add a curvature here. And wherever you place the cursor at the end, the next curvature will be in this direction. So suppose as I place the cursor here in here, so you'll see the change. If I place this point here, you can see that the curve has been gone towards the previous curve direction here, and then come to this point. So to change this curve point, you just have to click here, drag somewhere. If this curve is perfect, now press and hold the Alt key. And now as you move the cursor, the curve is not changing, but the direction is changing. So if I let this direction to be okay, and when I click here, see that the curve has gone to this direction first, and then come here. So the pen tool is not hard to work with, but it takes some practice. So I'll add the layer again. You have to decrease this opacity again, this layer. So let it be 70. You'll see why I decrease the opacity in some time. So now I'm going to draw this body of the duck. So click here. Suppose this point is okay. Curve it. Change the direction. Make it closer. Zoom out. And just go on adding curves like this. Change the direction. Like this. Again here. Change the direction. Bring it closer. Add curve again. You'll see why I added the opacity and in a few seconds. Right? Yeah, this is okay. Change its direction like this. Here changing the direction becomes critical as the curve goes in this direction and not downwards. So I'll just let it be here. And you'll see as I decrease the opacity of the new layer, I'm able to see the duck from which is behind this shape like this. Change the direction again. I can complete the shape like this. You can change its color by clicking here. The fill color is mentioned. As you can see, the color picker options, gradient, texture, and this is color picker. You can pick any color by clicking just here. Suppose this color is good. Okay. And this design can be seen. If you want to see this design, so I'll just hide the duck and increase the opacity of our shape. The design can be seen. So in this manner, you have to draw the legs and the beak of the duck. I'll decrease the opacity. So to save us some time, I have already designed the flat design, and you'll see how it looks. See, this is the flat design of the duck, of the same image. Now I'll be honest with you and say that the pen tool is not very easy to work with, and it requires some practice. But I can assure you that if you just practice with pen tool for just 15 minutes, you can almost design any flat design from any internet images. So it is very easy tool, uh, but it requires some practice. So this was the last tool for today. So today we have seen how to change the background of any image, how to add effects to objects, how to format text, how to install text, how to add glow, gradient, etc. And lastly, how to create flat designs. If you have seen multiple job surveys of 2020, you know that the Photoshop is one of the most demanded skill in market now. And for what Photoshop is mostly used for is like making such designs and editing photographs. So by mastering these skills, you can uh, you can almost get a job. So we'll come back to our slides. If you have any questions, you can just drop in WhatsApp group or the Microsoft Teams chat box. I'll be happy to answer all them. I have got this question. How do we get this software? So the Adobe provides a trial period of, I think it provides for 1 month, and with student ID you can get that. And also you can just download the crack file. If you want, I'll be happy to share the crack file with you. Currently, I have worked with 2019 CC version, 2019. Please share crack version. Yeah, okay. I'll share it. I'll share the drive link. Next question has been asked. Please show how to change the angle border. Uh, do you want to ask about the pen tool? I didn't understand the question correctly. Logo which you mean? The logos
Sorry,
which,
sorry, Atharva.
yeah.
Mihir, can you just unmute yourself and ask the question? Because
Yeah, yeah, that will be okay.
we see the difficulty of not understanding the question.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm audible.
yes, yes.
Okay, sir. The logo you made, the Sharon logo,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah,
you added the border, the angle which you shown. Yes, curve.
curve, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can show
So,
it again.
can you show me that how to change the particular angle of the curve?
Yeah, I'll just add another rectangle here. Select rectangle tool and draw rectangle. For timing, let it be white so it is more clearly visible. So here you can see the rectangle tools, and the all the corners are not linked now. So to curve this corner, this particular right upper corner, we just have to select this right upper corner from here and specify the radius of the curvature. So if we select 60, it will just curve it with a radius of 60, like this. If we select more, uh, as the height is 207 pixels, if you want to just curve from this end to this end seamlessly, you just have to select the half of the height. Like let's select 103.5. And again, if I click here 103.5, we'll see that the curve has been continued like this and it looks like a half circle. So has your question has been answered?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. For what flat designs are used? See, the flat designs are mostly used for user interfaces. I'll just show on Google. You'll see when I type flat designs. When you see it, you'll recall. Go to images. See, these kind of designs are in trend now because these are simplistic. They are of low size, so they load faster, and these are very easy on eyes. So these kinds of designs are used in mostly all user interfaces. So are there any questions further? We'll just wait for 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll be proceeding with the next slide. You can see more flat designs like this. So I think we can proceed with the slides, and if you have any more queries, you can just contact me personally, or you can mail. I'll be sharing the mail ID also. So Poonam will tell you about this contest now.
Hello everyone. We IEEE SIS GST have arranged a technical digital poster making competition, Design It, in which you can either participate solo or can also team up with your friend. Topic for this competition is To Society Through Technology. This competition is starting from today and the deadline is 30th of June. Participants will also be getting e-certificates. We will be also posting a message regarding this competition in the WhatsApp group where you will get all the details and guidelines of the competition. Thank you.
Wow, what a wonderful presentation that was. Truly a worthwhile session. Thank you, Mr. Atharva. Yes, of course, no event can end on a successful note without a bunch of incredible audience just like you. Having said this, on behalf of my entire team, I would like to extend a special appreciation to all our audience and participants for being with us throughout the 2-day webinar series. It was an overall and overwhelming experience to have you all with your utmost patience throughout. Hope you had a great time with us, just as we did. We hope we delivered some intuitive content to you to take back. Please do fill in the feedback form that we will be sharing. Your response is of most importance and will surely be valued. Thank you so much for encouraging us with your enthusiasm and undue support. Looking forward to have you guys back with us in a lot more events lined up just for you. Until then, I, Sricharan Ramaswamy, on behalf of IEEE SIS GST, would like to wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors as I sign off the day. Have a great day ahead. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you, guys.